Wait, before you move on, notice this. Because moments like this don't repeat themselves the same way twice. There's something forming around you right now, something that didn't exist even a short while ago, and the only reason you're seeing this is because you're closer to it than you realize. Most people pass right through moments like this without recognizing them, not because nothing is happening, but because the timing doesn't look obvious at first. And that's exactly what makes this different. This isn't loud, it isn't clear yet, and it doesn't announce itself, but it's there, moving quietly into position. You might have felt it recently, that subtle sense that something is about to change, even if you couldn't explain what or how. Not a strong signal, just a quiet shift in your awareness, like something is getting closer but hasn't fully arrived. That feeling is important because it usually shows up right before an opportunity becomes visible. And the reason timing matters so much here is because the same opportunity can either pass unnoticed or completely change your direction depending on when you recognize it. God is often described as working through timing rather than force, meaning what's meant for you doesn't always appear when you expect it. It appears when you're positioned to respond to it correctly. And right now, you are being positioned. So don't rush past this, don't assume it's nothing, and don't treat it like every other moment. Stay with this, because what's about to unfold next depends on whether you recognize it at the right time. What makes this situation so frustrating is that this isn't the first time you've been close to something that could have changed things for you. You've been in positions before where an opportunity was right there, almost within reach, and yet somehow it didn't fully connect. Maybe you moved too quickly and it didn't hold, or maybe you hesitated just long enough for it to pass. And over time, those moments start to build a pattern in your mind, making you feel like you're always just slightly out of sync with the timing of things. It's not that you didn't see the opportunity, it's that something about the moment didn't align the way it needed to. You might remember situations where everything seemed right on the surface, where the idea made sense, the direction felt promising, and you were ready to act. But then something small shifted. A delay, a distraction, a second thought, or even something completely outside your control changed the outcome. And afterward, you were left thinking about what you could have done differently. Should you have acted sooner? Should you have waited longer? That kind of uncertainty doesn't just disappear, it stays with you, affecting how you approach the next opportunity. Over time, this creates a kind of hesitation that isn't always obvious. You start to question your instincts, wondering if you can trust your own sense of timing. Even when something feels right, there's a part of you that holds back, remembering how things didn't work out before. And that hesitation can be just enough to disrupt the flow again, not because you're incapable, but because your past experiences are influencing your present decisions. It becomes less about the opportunity itself and more about whether you're going to get the timing right this time. But here's the part that changes how you should see all of that. Those moments where things didn't connect weren't just random misses. They were part of a process that was refining your awareness. Each time something almost worked out but didn't, it showed you something about your decisions, about your reactions, about how you respond under pressure or uncertainty. Even the hesitation you feel now is not a weakness. It's a result of experience. It means you've learned to pay attention, even if you're not fully confident yet. The difference now is that you're not in the same position you were in before. You're more aware of how timing affects outcomes. You're more aware of how quickly things can shift. And you're more aware of how important it is to recognize the right moment instead of forcing one. That awareness didn't come easily. It came through those situations where things didn't fully align. And while it may have felt like missed chances, it was actually building your ability to recognize the next one more clearly. So when you look back at those moments, they're not just examples of what went wrong. They're part of what's allowing you to see what's coming now differently. Because the opportunity forming around you now is not separate from those past experiences. It's connected to them, and the timing of it is not meant to confuse you again. It's meant to meet you at a point where you can finally recognize it without second-guessing yourself the same way. And this is where everything begins to shift from uncertainty into something much more real. Because what's forming now is not another almost moment. It's something that is actually aligning in a way that your past opportunities never fully did. The difference this time is subtle at first, but it's important. Before, things may have appeared quickly and felt urgent, pushing you to act without full clarity. Or they may have felt uncertain, causing you to hesitate until the moment passed. But what's approaching now carries a different kind of energy. It's not forcing you, and it's not confusing you. It's positioning itself in a way that becomes clearer the more aware you are. You might not see the full opportunity yet, and that's exactly how it's supposed to be. Real alignment doesn't always show everything at once. It reveals itself step by step, allowing you to recognize it without overwhelming you or pushing you into a rushed decision. That's why this moment feels different from before. Instead of pressure, there's a quiet sense that something is building. Instead of urgency that feels chaotic, there's a timing that feels controlled. And that's what you need to pay attention to, because this is how the right opportunities begin. They don't confuse you. They unfold in a way that allows you to stay grounded while still moving forward. God is often described as working through precise timing, where things don't arrive too early or too late, but exactly when they can be received properly. And right now, that timing is starting to align around you. What didn't appear before wasn't meant to appear yet, because you wouldn't have responded to it in the same way you can now. The awareness you've built, the experiences you've gone through, and even the hesitation you developed, all of that has shaped how you will recognize this next opportunity. What's important is that this opportunity is not as far away as it might seem. It's already forming within your current path, within the environment you're already moving through. That's why it can be easy to overlook if you're not paying attention, because it won't always look dramatically different from everything else around you at first. It may come through a conversation, a decision, a small opening, or even a situation that initially seems ordinary. But the difference will be in how it connects. It will lead somewhere. It won't just exist as an idea. It will create movement. You may also notice that your sense of clarity is beginning to increase. Things that once felt uncertain are starting to feel more defined. You may find yourself recognizing patterns more quickly, understanding situations with less effort, and feeling more confident about when to act and when to wait. That's not coincidence, it's preparation meeting opportunity. And when those two meet, timing becomes less confusing and more intuitive. This is why this moment matters. Because you're not being rushed into something, and you're not being held back anymore either. You're being placed in a position where the next step becomes visible at the right time. And when that step appears, it won't feel like something you have to force. It will feel like something that naturally fits into where you are now. And that's how you'll know that this time is different from all the others. And this is the point where everything becomes critical, because recognizing that an opportunity is forming is only part of it. The real difference comes from how you respond when it actually appears. This is where most people repeat the same pattern without realizing it. They either move too quickly out of excitement and lose clarity, or they hesitate because of past experiences and miss the moment entirely. And the truth is, both reactions come from the same place, being out of sync with timing. That's why this phase matters more than any other, because this is where awareness has to turn into the right kind of action. What's happening now is not just about something approaching you. It's about you being in the exact position where you can finally respond to it differently. Before, you may have relied more on emotion than awareness. You may have acted because something felt urgent, or held back because something felt uncertain. But this time, the situation is asking for something more balanced. It's not asking you to rush, and it's not asking you to freeze. It's asking you to recognize the moment as it is, without projecting past outcomes onto it. you might notice that when this opportunity begins to show itself, it won't come with complete certainty right away. There may still be a level of unknown, a small gap between what you see and what you fully understand. And that gap is where timing becomes important. Because if you try to fill that gap too quickly, you risk acting before everything is clear. And if you wait too long trying to remove all uncertainty, you risk letting the moment pass. The key is not eliminating uncertainty, it's moving with awareness despite it. This is why timing is often misunderstood. People think it's about waiting for the perfect moment where everything is obvious and risk-free. But real timing doesn't work that way. It's about recognizing when enough is clear to move forward, even if everything isn't fully revealed yet. And that requires trust. Not blind trust, but trust in your ability to recognize patterns, to read situations, and to respond without overreacting. That's what your past experiences have been preparing you for. Even if it didn't feel like it at the time, God is often described as aligning moments rather than forcing outcomes, which means what's coming toward you is not meant to confuse you. It's meant to meet you at a level where you can actually handle it. But that alignment only works if you stay present. If you fall back into overthinking, you create delay. If you react impulsively, you create instability. And both of those can shift the outcome away from what it could have been. So this is the moment where you need to stay grounded. Pay attention to how things unfold without rushing to define them too quickly. Notice what feels consistent rather than what feels urgent. Because real opportunities don't rely on pressure, they rely on alignment. And when something is truly aligned, it will continue to reveal itself as you move with it, not disappear the moment you pause. This is also where your awareness becomes your advantage. You're no longer approaching this blindly like before. You've seen what happens when timing is off, and now you're in a position to respond differently. That doesn't mean everything will be obvious, but it does mean you're more capable of recognizing what matters. And that recognition is what separates a missed moment from a life-changing one. So don't treat this like every other situation. Don't fall into the same patterns that held you back before. Because what's happening now is not just another chance. It's a moment where everything you've learned is meant to come together. And how you move in this moment will determine whether this opportunity becomes something real, or just another almost. And now this is where everything either comes together or slips past you again. But this time the difference is that you are fully aware of it. The opportunity that has been forming is not meant to stay hidden much longer. It's going to become clearer, more defined, and more present in a way that you can no longer ignore or mistake. And when it does, it won't feel like something random or disconnected. It will feel like it belongs exactly where you are right now. That's how you know it's aligned. It doesn't force its way into your life. It fits into it. What's important to understand is that this moment is not about proving anything or chasing something uncertain. It's about recognizing what is already moving toward you and allowing yourself to meet it at the right pace. Before, you may have tried to force outcomes or waited too long for perfect clarity. But now, you're in a position where you don't need to do either. You just need to stay aware enough to see what's unfolding and confident enough to move. When it becomes clear, you're also going to notice that this opportunity connects to you in a way that feels different from past experiences. It won't create the same confusion or pressure that made you second-guess yourself before. Instead, there will be a sense of direction, even if everything isn't fully revealed yet. That sense of direction is what you need to trust, because it's coming from alignment, not impulse. And when something is aligned, it continues to open as you move with it. Rather than closing the moment you hesitate slightly, God is often described as working through precise timing. And the timing is not something you need to control, it's something you need to recognize. What's meant for you does not arrive in a way that creates chaos when you approach it correctly. It unfolds in a way that allows you to step into it naturally. And that's what's happening here. This is not about rushing into something or holding yourself back out of fear. It's about moving in sync with what is already aligning around you. As this becomes more visible, you'll also start to feel a shift in how you respond. There will be less doubt, less hesitation, and more clarity about what to do next. That doesn't mean every detail will be obvious, but it does mean you won't feel lost in the decision the way you may have before. And that clarity is what turns an opportunity into a real outcome. Because opportunities don't create change on their own, your response to them does. So this is your moment to do something differently. Not dramatically, not impulsively, but consciously. Stay present, stay aware, and don't fall back into the patterns that made things feel out of sync before. Because this time, you're not guessing, you're recognizing. And that recognition is what allows everything to finally connect the way it was supposed to.